Hi everybody, it's Kim. Welcome back to my channel, Touch of Magic. Today's video is part of the monthly card making video hop that we do. This is hosted by Cecelia over at Valley Oak Paper. Our theme for November of 2025 is Out of My Comfort Zone. So I'm kind of hopping halfway through a project here. I'm working with the new release from Simon Says Stamp for November of 2025. And that release is called And Everything Nice. Now it will go live on November 6th, but this video will come out after that. So I'm working with the cover plate here called the Poinsettia cover. It is just a really nice basic cover plate, and I had the idea of some paper piecing. So this one here, I pulled, so this is the panel I cut it out of once. So this is a smooshed panel. I've picked up whatever on my mat on a fairly heavyweight cardstock. And then the other one is a print out of my stash. So I did two of them in an inlay technique. So the white base down, and then I inlaid the colors into it. The one thing I did do, instead of putting the dots in a different color, I actually filled it in with some micro glitter. Okay. So this is what I'm using for part of this thing. A couple different uses for it. This is a full sheet label paper. I saw it recommended by, I think it was Laurel Beard actually, and she recommended the removable one to use for stuff, and I bought the wrong one. So I've had this for literally years, and I found a use for it. Okay, so I cut them into just regular panel size because it's an A2 sheet, and I've done a couple of different things that I'm going to walk through. So with these, I use them as the backing paper for inlaying the dies. But the nice thing about having the sticker paper underneath is filling in those little spots with the glitter helps it hold, long and short of it. So I have these two done in various colors. I used one empty one, and I used it to do a negative. So I inlaid the pieces through it. And then, so that's going to be one. I will add a sentiment in the middle. The fun thing I really want to show today as well, a whole bunch of different techniques, because out of my comfort zone. Today I'm playing, and I don't do that very often anymore. Usually I just have kind of a topic in mind and I'm going with it. But sometimes we forget to just play and try things. This card, I'm hoping it picks up a little bit of the shimmer that you can see. It's a technique I learned through a tailored expressions class through Crop and Create, where you spray it with Pixie spray and then use foil to pick it up. So I'm going to show that. The other thing I did is I used a couple of the Nuvo shimmer powders, and I sprinkled specifically the reds and greens on the corners, and then you spray them and you let them air dry or you dry them. But I'm thinking I'm going to lay that over top, and then just that color will show through and it will act like a frame of a sort. So I'm going to put photos at the end of whatever I get done, but this is just about trying some new and fun techniques that maybe you haven't done. So shimmer powders are great. They can be very explosive, have a ton of color, and they're super fun. So that's going to be one there. So this is the one I'm going to try, and I want to show you the base of it here and what I've done. And I don't normally spray Pixie spray so close, but I'm gonna be brave. So what I have is a piece of foil that I've used. This was for hot foil. You could use either the foil for hot foil or for a laminator. Either one will work in this case because your adhesive is the spray. So any light tack repositionable adhesive spray will work here. I recommend doing this in a well-ventilated area with a mask if you can. Worst case scenario, I'm going to hold my breath and step away while I spray. And I don't want a heavy coat. I just want like a light spray here. Okay. A couple of little spritzes. Going to let it air dry for a second. You want it to be tacky, not super wet. Okay. And then you can take your little bit of foil and pick up the colors. So when you have those pieces of leftover foil, if you're doing any hot foil techniques, whether it's hot foil or a laminator foil, any way you're doing that, tweezers are my favorite tool. You can just pick up little bits of the shine. And it can be heavy. As you can see, I've got a couple spots where it was heavier, and that's okay. No two are going to be exactly the same. And you could always go back and add a little more if you think you want more shine. The other thing I like to use for that is my bone folder. So I can run it across, give it a little extra pressure, and then lift. So that gives just some fun shine there. Now what I did with this one is I did it in a gold, and then I ink blended over it with the new periwinkle ink from Simon Says Stamp. And I just did, I'm going to show it here on this little sample, and did a fade up. So I did it darker at the bottom and then faded up to the top to get that nice little transition. You could do that with any color combination. And then I sat these on top. So that's just a really quick and simple idea. My challenge for you is just to play. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in the doing that we forget to just have fun. So hopefully that's going to give you some ideas. Now I'm going to let this air dry a little bit more, and then I'm going to ink blend. The other thing I wanted to show with this sticker paper, which you could use any kind of sticker paper if you have it. I know there's one called Stick It, which is by, might be Therm. If I can find it again, I will post it. I have a terrible time peeling layers apart. Okay, so I'll get it pulled apart. And I'm just going to set it sticky side up here. And I'm going to do the same thing. Sticker, gently. This is really sticky at first until you start handling it a little. You could take a little of the stick off. And I recommend not putting the whole sheet across. I did that and it tore on me and it was hard to get off as it's, you know, sticky. So this is my own little thing I came up with about a week ago, and I've really been having fun with seeing about color combinations and what we're getting here. So it gives you an idea. Now, it will remain sticky. Getting my fingerprints. It will remain sticky until you fill in all the spots. The other thing I have done is dust it with like an embossing powder when I feel like I've got what I want out of it, and go from there. That's funny. Every other time I've done this, it hasn't shown my fingerprints. I'm gonna grab one more. I think it'll show. You can see that there's a sentiments that came off of that. So I'm gonna use a little bit of that and just pull up pieces. So we got pink and red and blue on here. So that gives you the idea of how that works. Okay, so that is just a kind of a neat little extra, try something new. Totally was out of my comfort zone, although I'm really honestly never scared to try something new. It is just paper in the long run, and this was scrap foil anyway. So there's a little sample of how that works. Now this one, I very specifically, when I did the silver, I used my fingernail and my bone folder to scrape along the lines so that you got those striations in the foil, as opposed to fingerprints like I did on that one. So there we go. All right, back to this one. I think we're dry now, and you can see the shine. And do we want to do the purples with the pink? All right, I have the new set from Simon Says Stamp. This was in their last release. Ballerina, Fairy, and Plum. And I'm thinking the really pale. Let's try it. This is I can't remember what they call it, but it's from Tailored Expressions. It's for your ink pads, but also works for gems and various things. And I really like it. Oh, no, that's not the color I want. All right, so let's try this one. I have not used these yet. They're very new to my stash. And just a little bit of ink blending. So the ink will not sit on top of the foil. The foil will resist it. And I want to just fade it very lightly to the top. So lift my hand, not as much pressure, just very soft. I'm wondering if I should add that second color to the bottom. Let's try. You know, they're new. Let's play. So this one is the fairy. The first one was the ballerina. Oh, oh my, definitely more depth of color there. So I'm going to come in off the mat and onto the bottom. Just layer up some color. All right, so there we go. A little bit. I'm going to let the ink settle in and dry a smidge, and then wipe it off the foil. All right. So you can see the similar idea here for the fade up of color. Alrighty, I have an older set here. I'm not even sure if this one is still available. If it is, I will link it. I have the Elegantly Modern Greetings, and I also have the hot foil and the die set. And I think I'm just going to stamp. I want to finish this one off. So I'm going to stamp a greeting, and it's going to go here because that'll fit nicely across the middle, and then we could do the wishes for you. Let's do that. I'm not even sure when this one came out. Oh, it might still be available. It's only 2023. And we will get out my Misty. Well loved, well used. Got some pieces of my Hammer Mill cardstock. Tends to be what I like to stamp and ink blend on. So let's try that. And I think I'm gonna go a shade darker because I did the periwinkle for the panel. So I think we'll do the clematis for the sentiment. And always for me, the Misty was the game changer for getting into card making. I realized, hey, I can do that. Alrighty, I guess that was a one and done. That looks great. Okay. And then a little low tack tape. This one fits quite closely, so it should have a nice tight outline, which I always like. Okay, just ran that through my Sizzix. I have a big shot that I've had for years and years and years. All right. Birthday and sub-sentiment. Just saying happiest wishes for you. Birthday, wishing you the best. I think birthday wishes for you. Stamp platform one more time. I'm going to stamp that directly on the card base. Kind of tuck that right under there. And then I'm going to go one darker so that it stands out on here. So this is the crocus. And because I've already inked up that panel, I want to make sure this shows up. And because these are really juicy, they're new ink pads, I am going to be very delicate in pressing that down. I don't want it to smear or splat. So just gentle. Here, birthday wishes for you. Now, two things you can do if you want to pop up a sentiment. Like this, I think I want it to stand up a little bit. I can take scrap paper and I can cut it out a couple more times and give it a dimension, or I could use foam tape. I tend to save all my scrap bits for this purpose. Alrighty, I've got liquid glue and the fine tip applicator, which is very helpful. I just got the Sweet Petunia glue press. I have not played with it yet, so that is on my list of things that I would like to try. I hear a lot of people talk about how great that is. So in the meantime though, I've got my little tip, which works great for me. Alrighty, get that all stacked together. And placement. I do like to get it close to the edges so it doesn't lift. Alrighty, I get that as straight as I can. Looking at the side. Okay, I think we're fairly straight there. I have a big acrylic block, stamp platform, or a stamping block. I'll let that dry. Alrighty, so this card is now done. My whole idea for today in this video, and our theme of out of my comfort zone, is to play. By trying some new techniques, new things, you never know what's going to be inspiring for you. Might get you to really try a new method of doing something, or dig out supplies you haven't used before, something that sat in your cupboard for way too long, because you know we all have those. So a little bit of a recap on what we did. So this one here is you spray it with a little lightweight adhesive, and you use your leftover foil to add some shine, and then an ombre ink blend. It gives you a really nice base that you could put anything on top of. And here's the other version now that it's drying back with the pinks. And I could go in and add a little more, and I might. We'll see if I decide to add a little more to that. So that's that one. The other one is the adhesive sheets and leftover foil technique. Then this messy pile here. My idea being that I could put the cover plate over top of it and give it a different look, because it still pulls the greens and reds like a poinsettia. So I'm going to try that and see how I feel at the end. And then these ones have the inlay technique, where I have cut them out several times, used the framing in white, and then inlaid color from panels made like this or on a gel plate. So those are all the samples for today, and a whole bunch of ideas that maybe you want to step out of your comfort zone and give something new a try. If you do, please tag me on social media. I would love to see what you create and cheer you on. Here's a quick overview of the cards that I did make today. Any products that are still available will be in the description below. My links are affiliate links, and I do earn a small commission when you shop through my links, which of course is always appreciated, as it does support my channel. Thank you for being here today. I always appreciate anybody who takes time to pop by and watch one of my videos. I would love it if you'd like to leave a comment. What one do you like? What technique do you think you might want to give a go? And if you haven't already, a thumbs up is always appreciated. If you haven't subscribed already, I would love to have you. And you can always ring that notification bell to let you know the next time I'm going to post a video. I will have another one coming out soon, so I hope to see you again. Have a wonderful day, and I do hope you find some time to craft. Bye.